For me, it's the first time that I was at a conclave, so I was looking forward to it, but also nervous because of the great responsibility that I knew that we were taking in electing a pope. There were two parts, really, or shall we say three parts. The first part was what they call congregations. We would meet every morning, and sometimes also in the afternoons, just the cardinals, and it was maybe each one spoke what he felt about the church. We spoke about what we felt should the future pope we were going to elect, what qualities he would have, our dreams for him. We were given the biodata of each cardinal before we went into the conclave. Also, we spoke about the central organization of the church, the curia, what we thought should be improved for greater effectiveness. You know that according to canon law, the cardinals are the ones who now are fully in charge. When there's no Holy Father, sede vacante. So we had to vote on everything, the date of the conclave, whether there were two cardinals who asked for excuse, they could not come for the conclave. So we had to vote whether we accept their excuse or should we tell them to come. And then the timetable and the topics we would discuss, everything was like, there was no other authority except we, so we would be vote. Then we chose to go to the conclave on the Tuesday. Well, that was we voted for that. And then we moved into the conclave. That was the second part. And that was a deeply spiritual experience. The days we were there, it was short, not very long. We moved over there. We were conscious of the seriousness of the whole event we were going for. And after the Mass to elect the Holy Father, which we had, a solemn Mass was televised, we were, in the afternoon, we went to the Sistine Chapel for the conclave proper. And then, of course, you've seen that on television, how we took the oath and how we voted. Our seats were assigned by seniority, and I was somewhere in the middle, not the junior most, not the senior most. We met among ourselves at lunch, but we were cut off from everybody else, as you know. And the atmosphere was one of very serious. It was religious. It was not like a committee meeting. I've been for so many committee meetings where you're discussing business. We didn't discuss business at all. It wasn't socializing. We weren't really shouting and greeting old friends. It was, I would say, almost like a retreat. It was a retreat atmosphere, but where you spoke a little bit in subdued tones, conscious, and the uppermost in your mind was the consciousness of what we were doing. Even during the voting, the ballots, it was absolutely silence. We also went to vote in the same way we were seated. The ballot is very simple. It was, I elect, it's in Latin, I elect as Holy Father, and then there's a blank and you put the name you want to. You held up the ballot, and then you walked seriously to the vessel, the urn which contains the ballots, and before you put the ballot, you again said over there, in the name of Jesus Christ, who is to judge me on the last day, I vote for the person whom I consider the best in conscience to lead the church. And then you put the ballot. So each one took this oath again, and put the ballot in, and then there was the counting, etc. And as you know, also even the vestments we wore, the dress was choral dress, so religious. We had the red cassock, the surplice, and then the mozzetta, the covering, the red cape with the cross, and then when you entered, we had a beretta on. So it was really formal dress, formal atmosphere, and formal procedure. For me, it's been an experience which I'll never forget in my life. It's a work of the Holy Spirit, I can say. And I could sense that God was leading us, and all of us felt the same way. God was leading us. We got in the conclave. We did not specifically know whom we were going to elect. We had read all the press reports and all the lists, short lists, and the long lists, and the first list and the second list and all that. And Cardinal Bergoglio's name was not in the press and the media. It was in our minds in that year, but not certainly not in the media at all. We discussed in the pre-conclave meetings about what we thought the future Holy Father would have. In that sense, it's not possible for one person to have all that. And the second thing which several cardinals said, and I also repeated it in my intervention, is that it's very, very heavy. It's humanly, we are putting too much of a burden on one person when we put so much of what we expect. Having said that, what did we expect? I want to say what we expected from Asia, what I felt we expected from Asia. I said that we expect a Pope who's a spiritual leader, not only of the Catholics and the Christians, but of the whole world. And therefore I said, for us in Asia, It means, first of all, holiness in life, which is, of course, prayer is taken for granted, and holiness taken for granted. What is it for us? The accent would be on detachment. Detachment from material things, from power, from pomp. I was saying simplicity, approachability, humility, for us is attractive. And then reaching out to people, to youth, calling out to youth. When I read what I had written, I find Pope Francis doing exactly what my aspiration, my dream for the Pope was. All of us, we felt so happy that in 5 ballots we were able to come to a consensus. It's not easy to get 2/3 majority. 77 votes out of 115 is a big, but difficult to arrive, especially since you don't interact so much with everybody. So you really, you study each other. You know, and as I said in my intervention, Jesus Christ is in the boat and he's awake, and he'll give us the Pope that we need, and he has. I did not know him personally before, but then I had the privilege of being with him for about a week after that and staying with him, saying Mass and having breakfast with him, having lunch and dinner with him, sitting by his side and chatting over meals. And I found him so simple, so approachable, also humorous. We were sometimes 2 or 3 tables at lunch or dinner, and everybody else was speaking in hushed tones because out of respect to the Holy Father, you know. And the only place where there was laughter the whole time was the table where he was. And then when I was at his table, we would talk about everything. I would talk about India, he would talk about Argentina and South America and his experiences. But I was reflecting, and I feel he's got the quality of all the last few popes that I know of, in the sense that he's brilliant academically. Pope Benedict, of course, is an outstanding theologian, one of the best in the world as a theologian. Pope Francis is a theologian also. He was the principal redactor of the document of South America for their federation when they prepared their document on evangelization. And he's got the approachability of John Paul II. He goes out, he reaches out to people, he wants to meet people, he's a man of the masses. I'm a little worried about his security because, you know, he just plowing into the crowd is a little dangerous in the long run. Then he has the smile of John Paul I. He smiled. He's smiling the whole time. I mean, every time you meet him, it's nice, natural smile, friendly smile. And he's very much rooted in Vatican II, like Paul VI was. And to complete the whole picture, he's totally open, like John the 23rd, very open for new ideas. And he has something of the features of Pius XII. So there you have somebody who's got a combination of all the last popes that I've had. He's a very prayerful person. I was staying with him, and he would spend a lot of time in the chapel praying after Mass, before Mass, making a visit before dinner. When we ended the conclave, before he appears to the people and presented to the people and the world, each of the cardinals goes up to him and greets him and promises obedience to him, allegiance to him. But he made it very informal. He embraced us, and so in the sense that he didn't allow us to kneel before him. So when I met him, I greeted him on behalf of India and Asia. I said, Holy Father, the very name you've taken, Francis, is a message of your pontificate. It's impressed me deeply, and he's repeatedly told me my warm greetings to India, great embrace for Asia. And I thought he really meant it, because he mentioned that to me when I met him in the conclave. He mentioned it to me when I met him formally, when all the cardinals are meeting him. And he mentioned to me as I was leaving also, he says, Cardinal, please pray for me. Please pray for me. Ask your people to pray for me. I think we need to support him with our prayers and our affection. And of course, his message to all of us always is, go ahead, live the gospel, reach out to people. We must embrace everybody. His recent meeting with all the other non-Catholic delegates, with the diplomats also, he came out with the same idea. We all need to work together to make it a better world. He has a special love for Asia, for India, and I'm confident we'll have Pope Francis in India, in Mumbai, and probably in this very place. When Pope Benedict suddenly told us that he was resigning, stepping down, I felt a little darkness. Now, where are we? We've got no one to take up the place of a person of such eminence, what will we do? I think that was the feeling of many cardinals around when we came to Rome. And then suddenly now from nowhere, as we were discussing and reflecting and praying, Pope Francis is presented to us with, you see again, this is a resurrection. After this dark moments of uncertainty, the Lord has given great joy, enthusiasm, hope, love for the whole church. But I think also the message He's giving us continuously to care for the poor. That's the Easter message. Jesus reached out to the poor. That's the message that Jesus gave us. Care for creation. It's so important for the planet and for each one of us. I think also the particular care we should have to defend human rights of everybody. He mentioned that a couple of times, even in his private conversations, about the human rights of people, justice. Now, with confidence, with certainty that the Lord has risen, and the Lord is with us. That's what I've sort of come to experience in the conclave. We must decidedly march forward, carrying the gospel message through our life, through our work, and proclaiming Jesus to all people. This is really what Easter is all about.